Hey, it's Dave Mad Max 6 for another episode of Muscle Beach TV, and today is a good day, guys, because I got my good friend, Bob Cicherillo. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, it's good to be on the couch, Dave, finally. The most anticipated interview in couch history.
That's right, that's right. I'm so glad to have you, man. This is my old training partner, my good friend.
Not that old.
No, my old training partner,
okay.
of the old days. I'm old. Maybe you may not be old, but I'm old.
That you are.
I'm so glad to have you on the couch, Bob. It's great for me. We go way back. You helped me do my last show. Moved to Florida. I don't even see you no more. So this is so cool to have you. You actually came down for the LA, right?
LA Championships last week. A huge event for John Lindsay. 300 plus in attendance.
400. Oh, you 400 competitors.
Oh yeah. Well, crossovers, all that. So yeah, it was about just under 400.
Yeah.
Great show though. John Lindsay puts out every show here in LA, as everybody knows. But the USA, Dave, the best title in the world of bodybuilding.
John
Next week in Las Vegas, I will be donning the stage. First time in USA history, a former Mr. USA will be on the microphone. Dave.
Are you really emceeing the show?
I am emceeing the USA's. That's right.
Full circle.
It comes full circle. So I'll be back on the USA stage. But you know what? It is the best title, though, because, national champions nights, of course, I bust Sean Ray's balls about this all the time. We go back and forth. But national champion, nobody recognizes that. You're on a plane, somebody says, oh, you're a bodybuilder, what'd you win? Oh, I'm the NPC national. Yeah, you lost them already, you know what I mean? Hey, you're a bodybuilder, hey, what'd you win? Mr. USA.
That's true.
Instant.
Patriotic.
They know who you are.
That's right. So, emceeing the show, big first for you. It's how many people are we talking about? Close to 1,000.
It's going to be close. It'd be probably in the eights. It's going to be close to 1,000 competitors for the first time. It'll be a sold-out auditorium. It's in Vegas again at the Artemis Ham Hall at UNLV. But that can change a lot of lives for a lot of people. I mean, it did for me.
Right.
I mean, that's what put me on the map. Was winning that USA title. I signed a contract with GNC, and I was on the next flight out here to LA, where I lived for the next 9 years.
That was awesome.
And we did all the bodybuilding stuff and commercials and movies and things, and so that can be the beginning of somebody's career. And you will see lives change. In just a few days.
Yeah. Let's go back to you, because the interview is, it's great, the USA and John Lindsay and all stuff, but, you're here because I want to talk about you. So I remember we met just when you moved to Venice. I was actually at the old location of Max Muscle. And then, you start training with Tom Prince and all that stuff. I mean, you and Tom worked for a long, long time. You're great friends, right?
We just caught up last night. We had dinner with the
wives.
We had dinner with the wives last night.
Awesome.
Caught up with Tommy, and he's been doing great, because people ask me wherever I go still, hey, how Tom doing? You guys keep in touch. We keep in touch, not as well as we should, like all of us. But he's doing great. He got a kidney transplant about a year ago. Yeah. Things have been doing good, knock on wood, and he's healthy, he's happy. Their business is thriving. They're in the property management business, and that's been going great. So. He's been doing good. Doesn't really follow the bodybuilding at all.
No, he doesn't.
I mean, there were some names, like he doesn't know a lot of the new guys, things like that. But, he could tell he still loves bodybuilding. He just doesn't really follow it that much.
Do you know what he told me last time I saw him? I told him, do you miss anything about bodybuilding? He says, I miss the people. Yeah. Not so much the sport, but the people in it, such as yourself. He's actually kind of sad and not disappointed, but we're talking about you, of course, 'cause every time I see Tom, you come up, and he's like, I'm really sad because I miss Bob. It's like, he's tried to, stay in touch, and so have I. But when people move away, a lot of times they always say, we'll stay, we'll talk all the time. And people move on. They have their own life, and, they start getting busy, of course, the kids and the family and all that stuff. And so he was kind of like, oh, man, I kind of miss Bob. So what do you have to say about that?
What's not to miss? I mean, Tommy was great. I mean, we had a lot. We were reminiscing yesterday, of course, about all old times and stuff with you and all the crew. And it's a great time. The whole Venice Beach thing. We call it living the dream. In the bodybuilding circles and all that. But for us, that's what it was. I mean, we all moved to Venice for different reasons. For me, it was the bodybuilding thing and all that. And for a time and a place, it did everything that it was supposed to be doing. And, it's still the same. I was just at Gold's, training. Big Lou Ferrigno was there. We caught up a little bit and, trained a little bit. And a lot of the old names and old faces, and a lot of the old people with new faces. A lot of California Botox, a lot of not moving going on. So that's California.
Do you like to come back? Do you miss it?
There's certain things I do miss. I miss Gold's. I miss the people. Some of my friends. I don't miss the traffic. Yeah. I don't miss the taxes. I don't miss, the housing market, looking at $1 million house that looks like a garage, the people are a little strange, but they, land of fruits and nuts. So, But yeah, there's things I miss about it. It's always going to have a special place for me. But it's cool to come back too.
Yeah.
I kind of like being a visitor now.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, it's safe to say that you're one of those people that, even though you did really good as a competitor, you did even better afterwards. Like a career didn't really take off until you actually retired. Right?
Well, I didn't turn pro until much later. I mean, as most people know my story by now, it took me 13 years to get my pro card. So I didn't turn pro until I was like 34, 35.
It's old in bodybuilding standards.
Well, it was then. The funny thing, the ironic thing now is now with all the Masters shows and all that kind of stuff, there's guys getting their pro cards now into their 40s, 50s. I just ran into a guy at the gym who was 80 and got his pro card. Now,
what's that class?
Let's not mince. Yeah, the Yoda class, I think, is what it was. But let's not mince words. I am not a big advocate of pro cards to Masters competitors, and I say that with all due respect and all that kind of stuff. But to me, it takes some of the prestige out of getting that pro card. We grew up in an era and a time, especially me for most of my career, where you had to win the overall. Yeah. Even winning your class was good for a pat on the back and a see you next year. That was it. Yeah. You had to win the overall title, but that made for a prestigious club of IFBB professionals. Now, we start getting into business talk and things like that and growth and all that. It's kind of a whole different conversation. But I don't like the idea of like a Masters guy, guy in his 40s or 50s. Those are specialized classes. They're put together for a reason, and that is so that people can compete in like kind, amongst those of your own division, whatever it is. If you're good enough to win the USA, the Nationals, the North America, whatever it might be, then you're obviously good enough to, to gain entry into the pros. If you're not, you're not.
Right.
So, because I get a lot of people now, this guy, he was, he took 15 years to get his pro card. It's like, yeah, but he got in the Masters. It doesn't count, bro. That doesn't count.
Okay. Well, I have some very strong views on that, but I mean, right now you're taking over a lot of the emceeing all over the country. Of course, you MC the Olympia, which is what can be said about MC the Olympia? That's awesome,
That's cool.
It's awesome. Yeah. And even though you went from working with Flex for many years, now you're with Team MD, and you're still MCing the Olympia. So I think that's actually really, really cool.
Well, the cool thing about that is all parties, things are a little different than they used to be, the magazine wars and all that kind of stuff from years ago. And a lot of that died down, thank God, because a lot of it existed more at the top levels, not really at our level. We're all buddies, we're all friends. We all see each other at every show. Everybody kind of grew up together and did different things. So to us, it never really made any difference either way, what magazine you were with or who anybody cared. And the bottom line is we're all here for the betterment of bodybuilding. So for that, it's a good thing. And obviously, to me, it was, I was curious as to how the whole thing was going to work out also, because I had worked, hard to kind of get myself into a position, where, I was at that spot, at the Olympia. And, and that's, of course, all credit to Robin Chang, and his crew and the powers that be. So, luckily I'm kind of considered more a part of the Olympia, really, as a separate thing. Doesn't really matter who I'm working for, or, representing for a magazine or a company or supplements or that type of thing. Yeah. So it's been great. I mean, and I've been doing it since, I think, 2005. I think it was the first year with Triple H when we did the press conference and all that. Awesome. And then kind of, then I did it with Sean, and I was begging Robin Chang to give me a microphone. Because, people have short memories. I mean, there's a few years in there where, it was looking kind of hokey at the Olympia. I mean, this is the Olympia. I mean, our Super Bowl of bodybuilding. Yeah. But they always went outside the box. They'd always have guys up there, with all due respect to them as individuals, because I know a lot of them, but they didn't have any bodybuilding background. And when something goes wrong, which is every single show I've ever been in, nothing has ever gone 100%. There's always going to be things that go wrong, don't take place. They can't find an athlete. There's a lot of scrambling that goes on. People have no idea. Yeah. How much of that stuff goes on. It's just how well we're able to mask it, between my skills and the skills of Robin Chang and his production, company people, or any backstage crew. That makes for, a better show, or that it's seamless. People don't see that. So, because of that, I was able to kind of get myself into a good position because I know the sport.
Inside out.
Inside and out. I've grown up with this since I was 12, 13 years old. So for me, it was a lot easier to be up on stage, something go wrong, and me be able to continue on. Yeah. Anybody else is like a deer in the headlights. And, things would come to a screeching halt. It wasn't really professional. And finally, I got Robin to give me my chance. He's like,
by yourself, I might add, because he was always, I don't know if something happened. What if you get sick? And you were like, no, I've got it. So
well, they used to do the 2-man tag them, which I did with Sean. Me and Sean did the first one or so, and then but it's tough with 2 people though, because you have to include the other guy all the time, and I can move a lot quicker.
It doesn't flow as much.
It doesn't flow because you got to do the it's like doing the Oscars. There's that little back and forth. Hey Sean, long time you haven't been on the stage. All that kind of stuff. And it's really unnecessary. But finally I got my shot, and I've been there ever since. But I've kind of expanded it now. I've been overseas. I do most of the pro shows, some of the amateur stuff still locally and things like that. So it's been a career.
Would you have ever seen yourself doing anything else in bodybuilding? What if you never got into bodybuilding? Is there anything else you would have liked to see? I know you're really good with your hands and construction and all stuff, but is there anything else you would ever see yourself do? I can't see it.
I'd have been a superhero, I think.
Really? Captain America.
Yeah, that would have definitely been me. Pro wrestling actually might have been.
Really?
I think I kind of missed the boat on that one. If I could go back, and it's actually funny because it's not like I didn't have a chance because as an amateur, when Vince McMahon put his WBF together, they were considering 2 amateurs to sign. One was Paul DeMeo, and the other one was myself.
Oh, wow.
I actually still have the letter at home from the WBF, from whoever was in charge of it, back then, as an invitation to, basically go there. I actually shot for the first magazine, First Bodybuilding Lifestyles magazine. There's me in there demonstrating some exercises in Vince McMahon's gym at his house.
Oh, my God.
They didn't even have everything set up yet. And then the thing kind of bit the dust. And, at the time, there was that going on. Then I was on the Gladiators. I did that for a while. So I was kind of right in a good position with McMahon and all that, who I knew personally at that point and all that, to kind of go into wrestling, which definitely, as suits my personality just fine. But that's when wrestling kind of took a big dive. There's a lot of stuff with Hogan and the steroid stuff and all that, and it kind of took a big dip at the time. So, and my heart was still with bodybuilding. And it still never sat well with me that I hadn't got my pro card at that point. The WBF thing, bit the dust, so that wasn't really a viable option anymore. So I went back, to the NPC and competing to try to get my pro card. Now we're talking about this is about the mid '90s by now, so there was still a ways to go, as it turned out.
Well, I'm so glad I had that question. That was a good question. All right, so like I said before, I'm going to try to wrap it up real quick, but I really want to talk about your big switch from flex to MD, and that was that was a big switch. And are you happy? I mean, I'm happy with these guys. I think it was great. What's your take on MD?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Flex was great, for many years. I had nothing but good to say about the Peter McGuff, who's obviously with MD now. Yeah. A lot of the team is kind of switched around and back and forth now. Everything has a time and a place. Again, I don't have anything bad to say about the guys at Flex. Weeder, God bless Joe, and all that. Steve Bleckman's great. I mean, the difference is, Steve has kind of assumed the role of Joe Weeder. And the difference is between corporate and personal.
Family owned. Yeah.
Family owned and all. Well, Steve has a love for bodybuilding. And I've had this conversation with Steve. And there's a big difference there. There's a love for the sport of bodybuilding. And you don't get that a whole lot. And you don't get it with corporate. No. And I've had that kind of creep in there in different businesses that I've been involved with, from the supplement industry to the magazines. The minute corporate kind of gets their foot in there, it's a whole different world. There's people that don't really know our business. They don't know the history of our sport. And that's one thing I did like about, coming over to MD. And I talked to Steve, and we've been friends for years, even before that. It was just always a thing where, the timing didn't work out, or I was under contract, so, the planets aligned, everything seemed like good timing. I says, let's go for it, man. Let's put something together. And it's been great ever since. I mean, I'm able to kind of travel all over the place, represent MD, represent the IFBB. Can't complain, man. It's a living.
Well, I'm really glad you're with us, and I'm really glad you came in today, Bob. We're going to wrap this up real quick because I think we're going to run a little bit. But thank you so much for watching, you guys. This is Dave Mad Max 6, Bob Cicherillo for Muscle Beach TV, and we're out.
What's up? This is Cedric McMillan. Now, I told you before to go to MD Supplement Store. Now, you need to get down there and get all your stuff, or else.